What is your opinion about living in cities versus rural area when things collapse economically? And I know this may not be a question the average person asks. I probably wouldn't have asked you this last year, but I mean, it's been asked me a couple times because a few people know that I am doing this, just a few people, but I've read a couple of, on a couple blog sites and websites, but what is your opinion of people who live in the city, the dangers, expectations versus people that live in rural areas?
Okay, if you would have asked me that 8 months ago, I would have told you that probably in the rural and out of the city would be the way to do it.
Okay.
But since then, I've learned stuff, I've seen stuff, and like I say, they're in Central America, they got drug problems. So what they've done, well, 6 months ago, they blocked off this stretch of road that there's no way in or out, both ends.
Okay.
And then when they did that, then they went in and they they went through house to house looking for drugs. But when they're looking for drugs, they also took gold, silver, guns, cash, all that while they're looking for gold or looking for drugs. So that was their excuse for doing it. Mm-hmm. Now that was the government that was doing it. Okay. Now it can also be done by bandits. If bandits get organized like they would during hard times. In the 80s down there, they were having a revolution, and the bandits, we'll call them rebels, okay? The rebels, they organized and they did the same thing, okay? And now, about a month ago, they did the same thing, but they took, in the city, they took 6 blocks square through the night and they secured it. They went around, surrounded the area. Nobody can go in or out. Then they hit it with helicopters, people coming in on the roofs, they start going in, and then they're looking for drugs, and they took guns, gold, silver, and cash. So city life isn't any good, and rural life isn't any good. That's why you need plans. Another plan is, if you live in a city or the country, is there somebody on the other side of the city or the other side of town that you know that you can go stay with for a short term or maybe even a long term? You need to get that. Is there a place out of the state where you can go? A good example is Tokyo or Japan with the radiation. I mean, it'd been good if they could just move, completely get out of the area. Okay, now if that radiation reaches, Washington and Oregon, it would probably be wise to get your family out of there for a few months, anyway, a couple months, just to find out how bad this is going to be. Right now, not no problem, but do you have a place, if you lived in Oregon or Washington, do you have a place to go?
So you're saying, so what I hear you saying is, obviously having a plan, this may be our one retreat place to go, but I better have a B and a C too.
Oh, yeah.
And what I hear you saying is the further away from metro areas, away from high populated areas, as remote as you can get, the better?
No.
Okay.
The reason is, it could be if you have a plan. Because if you need to get away from the city, there's probably a few other thousands that are that came up with the same idea.
Yeah, right.
And there's only so many directions these thousands can go, so there's probably going to be a few thousand going to follow whichever direction you go. So that's why I'm saying, if it's that kind of an emergency, if it's just your own personal emergency, like a tornado hit your house or a fire, that's one thing. But if it's like we were talking about, like Oregon, if this all of a sudden they said, well, the radiation's bad, you probably want to put some plastic over your windows and some duct tape around there. Right. That's the time you better be out of the state.
Gotcha.
But there's going to be a few thousand other people that are trying to leave too. So there's not going to be enough gas to get out. those people, they're not going to have enough gas to get out. Not if everybody tries to leave at the same time.
Well, yeah, the lines would be, crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And we saw some. I mean, and people remember some of the. I'm in my mid-40s, but I remember reading and hearing from my parents of the gas shortages and the lines and miles long.
Yep.
So, yeah, that would be.
You only get gas every other day. Odd number of tags, get gas one day.
Really?
Even number of tags, get gas another day.
Oh.
Wow. It was funny. But can you imagine all of this happening all at the same time? No food. I say like radiation coming, so then we all have to leave the area. There's not enough food for everybody. The little cafes and restaurants on the highways going out, they can't feed everybody as they're leaving.
Sure.
There's not enough gas for everybody as they're leaving. You know what I mean? So,
you were speaking of that example of the Central America, how they shut the highway off. The government shut the highway off, and they, under the guise of looking for drugs.
Yeah.
How does that relate to America right now?